Welcome to New Business in Later Life with me, Ildikó Sealey. I'm an entrepreneur, the routine queen, and the champion of thriving over 50. I'm obsessed with morning routines, energized living, and building businesses that work with your life, not against it. Each week, I share real-life stories from bold 50-plus entrepreneurs who've said no thanks to retirement and hell yes to reinvention, while discussing good health routines for great business. Whether you are launching your first venture or scaling your encore, you are in the right place. Let's get you fired up, focused, and firmly in the driver's seat of your next chapter. Let's dive in. Today's guest is Emma Tubmen. Where do I start with her? I think it's fair to say that it's an unusual episode. We sang, we meditated, we cleansed. Well, Emma is a very energetic individual. We covered a lot of spiritual practices and why we always think that the grass is greener on the other side. Following substantial early life traumas, Emma has worked out that all of life is vibration, and your thoughts create your experience of life. So she set up It's My Pleasure Treasure coaching to help people truly find themselves like she had. Although medically she might be described as neurodiverse, Emma is an authentic individual who loves empowering people to live a life of freedom and joy. So buckle up for an absolute whirlwind of a conversation, and please welcome Emma Tubmen.
We can start with a song affirmation. The fabric of the universe is love. The fabric of the universe is love. The fabric of the universe, the fabric of the universe, the fabric of the universe is love.
Emma, welcome to the show. What a start. That's certainly a first. I would ask how you were, but I think, you've just...
Well, I was feeling overwhelmed. I have been diagnosed with PTSD, and it means that my somatic system can get very easily triggered. You wouldn't have known that telling me that you need to be able to fit a word in edgeways is important for you.
Oh my God,
you wouldn't have known that that's going to make me cry, because basically that's what everyone said to me for my whole life. But it's okay, because the amount of personal development I have done in my life and the tools I now use have enabled me to remember that I'm not 5 years old, and I don't need to worry, and you don't hate me or want me to shut up.
I certainly don't hate you. I appreciate you, and I love you being here on the show.
Thank you.
So welcome to New Business in Later Life.
Thank you very much. I'm
let's
very
dive in.
excited to be on this podcast.
Let's dive in. What is your new business in later life?
Well, I have become a coach.
Awesome. Would
And
you like to tell us a little bit more about that?
The topic of the coaching that I do is intimacy.
Okay.
So one of my wonderful teachers, Karila Anhara, who runs a beautiful business called Starlight Temple, who does lots of channeling, taught me how to channel and things. And I call in my imagination, my imaginary dragons to come and help me when I'm feeling overwhelmed. And I know that I'm allowed to do that now. I'm allowed to use my imagination and see the world through a slightly different lens than the mainstream.
That sounds amazing. Yes, that you finally got to that point in your life when you can actually just express yourself as you feel.
Yes, and be in my body. So she pointed out, some of her guys, that intimacy is like saying, into me, I see.
Oh, wow. Hang on. Let me just take that in. Into my sea. That's beautiful.
Because when you're in a relationship, I think part of the problems of the universe, of the world, is communication. A wonderful boyfriend of mine said communication and gravity. So we take things far too seriously. If you're like me and you suffer,
some do.
Highly sensitive. I'm highly sensitive. I literally used to talk to the fairies under the bush when I was 6 years old. And I was very strictly brought up, and it overwhelmed my nervous system. So
was that your kind of escape route?
So I really needed to sit in the trees, sit in the bushes, just talk to the creatures, look at things, just gaze at little creatures. And I remember doing that, and I hated being in school, and I was very fidgety. And you'd call me ADHD now, but the difference between ADHD and PTSD is they're quite close.
Right.
You have some of the same symptoms.
Go back to the fairies in the bush.
Yes.
Just probably for the first time ever, this little image when you mentioned bugs as well. I mean, how many bugs have got wings? Like even flies, have those see-through wings. Yeah. So how easy it is to see as a little girl or as a little child, how easy it is to see that obviously the bugs are proportionately bigger to
They
your
weren't
eyes.
bugs. They were people with crowns
fairies,
on.
Yeah.
My imagination conjured them up, but I know that now I've done all sorts of different things in my life, from plant medicine journeys, with ayahuasca to lots of rituals and things, and I'm a ritual creator now, and I use ritual a lot, and that's interesting because your business is about making rituals in your life.
Yes, it is.
So I realized that I didn't fit well with that school timetable, 9 to 5.
That's very rigid, isn't it?
And also they change subjects every hour. You're going 1 minute you're doing history, then you're doing maths, then you're doing English, then
you're supposed to have a break in between to reset, but
well, wouldn't it be nice if my children went to a Steiner school where you have a chunk of time where you're doing a topic like man and beast, and then you can let the child can have their space, the space to wonder. I think we really need a lot more space to wonder.
Are there schools like that available now, you think?
Well, my children went to a Steiner school, which has been closed down most of the time by Ofsted, because Ofsted likes everybody to be regimented.
Conformed, yeah.
Yeah. I was a childminder. Bringing up my children, I was a registered childminder. I rented a room out in my house. I was also a musician and a photographer, and supporting my husband to be a DJ and cycling everywhere. Just to pay the mortgage.
You already mentioned ADHD, but would you consider yourself as a chronic entrepreneur?
I just needed to make money to pay the mortgage.
Oh, right, okay.
Because I don't think in straight lines. You have to understand that my brain is somewhat different from your average person. And if you have a conversation with me, I've got a degree. I keep on studying. I love studying. I can analyze things and get underneath, into the body of stuff.
Right.
But when I'm trying to run my own life,
that's a different story.
Bring up children. I've got 2 children and I love to be with them. And I was very sensitive to the fact that I wasn't sat with as a child. I was just taken to school, before I was 11, I already had grade 1, 2, 3, 4 in piano and gymnastics and ballet, 3 subjects. Right. So after school, which was very
So your
strict.
Day was completely filled up.
Totally. And I got overwhelmed, and then I didn't know what to do with myself, and I wasn't allowed to make choices.
I see what
as
you
a
mean.
Child, if you make any choices that deviate or that take up too much time, you're not allowed to sit and wonder about things, because you've got to come on to next thing, and it's all. And I make the analogy with my clients, because a lot of people are the same. They've been affected very severely in their somatic experience of being by their childhood.
Do you find that your clients have kind of similar backgrounds to yourself, and they kind of resonate with you and find you?
Yeah, it's like that. It's so wonderful, isn't it? When you're in the coaching business, and before that I was 25 years a massage therapist, massage, reflexology, craniosacral balancing and Reiki, which helped me as well to kind of become more confident in who I am.
Right.
Because I think with that very strict upbringing, you can end up with very low self-esteem. Feeling that you're never good enough.
Is it because you were constantly controlled?
Because you're constantly being instructed.
Right, okay, yeah.
And you just think, what am I? Who am I? And it's taken me years and years and years to investigate, who am I? Who is Emma? And am I allowed to be
Emma?
And now I've worked out with all the different methods I've used and lots of inner child work, and that's what my new business is about, is helping people to go back to their inner children and have conversations with them. Because when we get triggered, like I nearly cried at the beginning of this thing, there's something in my heart that says needs more work, clearly. So I'll go home and I'll get in touch with one of my coaching associates, and I'll say, I had this conversation. There's still part of my inner child that is really terrified that she's too much. Yeah. That she's going to overwhelm everybody and it's all going to be a disaster.
True, but now you can accept it. Yeah. That is just the way you are.
Yeah.
I mean, I did a meditation practice some weeks ago, and I can't remember how the beginning went, but what I do very vividly remember is that the instruction was to picture something, and I came to realize that the little girl that I pictured was sort of like the 9-10-year-old myself. That vivid realization was really quite powerful. And then I promised her that it'll all be okay, and I will do whatever I want to do from now on.
Yes.
Because I was left by my mum. So I sort of had to grow up really quite early. And it's really interesting how these little practices, like my meditation practice, sort of took me back completely unexpectedly to this moment. And then now I feel like, I can let that little girl play and live out life and just be.
Yes. Well, the multi-dimensionality of our existence is so clear to me now. So you can get in a panic thinking, I'm late, I'll have to hurry up. Like, I said before, I'm like all the characters in Alice in Wonderland.
That just reminded me of
You
that.
could be looking at your watch going, oh, white rabbit, oh. And then you realise that actually you can just be here now. All the sages and wise people have said, be here now. And the oracle in Delphi, it's engraved in the stone, know thyself. So if you're rushing like a headless chicken, trying to get somewhere, climb another mountain, get to the next thing, gather some more stuff, because then you're going to feel better, actually you're just constantly running. You can actually create a feeling of wellness in your body. And so my business is called It's My Pleasure Treasure.
Right.
Because it wasn't my pleasure to serve as hard as I did. And I literally said to my mother when I was 14, I don't know what I'm going to do because I thought I was your servant. Even though I was highly intelligent, highly competent, I literally didn't think I could do anything by myself. I had to ask her what to wear every day.
I'm really pleased to see that, obviously, through some serious self-development and many decades, but you've come out as yourself, and now you do everything that you want to do.
I've just been a massive rebel, and I think my mum had me and my brother, and then she had a baby when I was 15, which was a second thought, as it were, and it was such a shock to me. But what it meant was that me and my brother that I grew up with ended up going out raving because it was in the 90s, and she couldn't keep her eye on us anymore. So we ended up smoking weed and taking pills and going out and going like, yahoo, I can talk to anybody. I don't only have to talk to posh people from boarding schools, because I wasn't stimulated.
Did you go to boarding school?
Yeah, for 7 years. And she went when she was 8. And my dad went, he was
really
8.
Strict. Right,
and my brother Tom went when he was 8. And I remember him running after the car, and we dropped him off going, no, Mummy, don't leave me. And it was absolutely heartbreaking. And Mum had to just look forwards, because she was brought up very strictly by her dad, who was in the Navy.
So technically, it's obviously none of her fault.
Obviously.
She didn't know anything better.
But I had to go really carefully to look. I want to love my mum. I really do. I don't want to be in this, like, why was she so fierce to me? But I therefore had to understand, psychologically speaking, and then going to the fabric of the universe, which has to be love, because you have to forgive in order to recover, not recover, but uncover yourself. Your true
feelings,
self, your shining bright light inside. You need to investigate. You need to go down into the depths of your darkness, into the shadowy self that you have judged so harshly, and accept responsibility. I have to accept responsibility that it was me that was judging me.
When did you have that realization?
It's all ongoing, because the trauma kind of every morning I have to really, and I think lots of us are getting into a good morning routine again, where we get up and I talk to myself. I say, Louise Hay has been a fantastic teacher. She said, "Thank your pillow."
Funny. I had that some time ago now. Like, whatever comes to your mind, it doesn't matter what it is. Just be grateful that you've opened your eyes, you've got air in your lungs, you're awake for another day, and you can do amazing things in this world. Yeah. And just thank whatever comes to mind. Yeah, absolutely.
And I do Qigong. I mean, one of my teachers, Jade Lotus, says you're going to rub your boobies, rub your ovaries, do the 5 sounds, which are really helpful in helping to relieve you from... Shall I show you the 5 sounds?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, absolutely.
So you go HAW, and I made up a little picture in my head, so it's like a star shape, and it's the 5 elements. And the H is, and you say, and you imagine the love from your heart going up into the sky and pouring down over your head. So you gather rainbows from the earth and you chuck them over your head like this. And then you take your hands behind to your kidneys, gather cups of water, which are like old gubbins that you don't want, because you've got to keep letting go. People with kidney problems are often people that have trouble letting go of the past. So we all have to.
It's so true, isn't it? That every single physical issue is linked to a mental, emotional, spiritual issue.
Yeah. So the somatic is the soma, is the brain and the body connected. And we're literally understanding now that if your brain gathered up too much and your body wasn't able to move and assimilate it, like if you got a fright and you should be able to shake, or scream like an animal does, if you get all adrenaline. And you're not allowed to in a child, you're not supposed to flap. I flapped a lot as a child, and people would kept telling me to stop flapping. So this chucking every day with the intention to let go.
Right.
And so because I do that in the morning, I don't have to go around flapping at strangers.
All day long, right.
I mean, I've obviously learned some more social skills, and because I'm 51 now, but I have been, quite inappropriate as a person.
Right.
In spite of being intelligent, I just couldn't control my nervousness.
Right.
So I think I alienated a lot of people because I'm kind of like
They didn't know how to deal with
edgy,
you.
and I don't know if I'm smiling because I'm happy or I'm smiling because my mother told me I have to smile all the time. And so I'm bewildered. A lot of the time, my brain is in bewilderment, which is why these exercises, and then I do the exercises, so it's a ch, and then there's the shh sound where you put your hands on your liver,
right.
and you say shh to the inner child who is angry because, we've got anger in us. If you were treated fiercely and you weren't allowed to be fierce back, fight, fly, you don't fight or fly from your mummy. You freeze or you fawn at her. So you try and please, do pleasing.
Yeah.
And then you end up marrying a man who's 15 years older than you, and you have to please him all the time. And you wonder why you're not happy because you're just running around being a pleaser. So then you have to learn through life's lessons, through the discomfort, through the tightly squeezed, being tightly squeezed, or a piece of sand in an oyster shell. The pearl becomes, because the oyster's
absolutely. So
uncomfortable.
You've now come out of the shell as a pearl.
Yay! And I want to do my big clap because I like
Hang on.
clapping to mark the moment.
That will probably scare my editor.
Sorry. Everybody goes, right, here we are
need to know
again.
that, yeah.
Reset.
So let's, we had the clap, but let's do the three things.
So we've got to be on the shh sound, and then you, after the angry child gets calmed down, you then go to your lungs, and you make a sound as if two balloons of grief are floating away, because grief is another thing that we carry from our childhood.
Yes.
Everybody has, is
we've all had
grieving about
childhood.
sad things. It's just normal. So you go as if the balloon's being popped and then it's coming down to earth, because you want to ground yourself.
Right.
So when you get anxious, you're too much in your head and you need to ground yourself. So I've obviously learned tools because of my own. And then when I'm in session with clients, I embody all of the best practices, and the safe space that I hold that is really very, very powerful. So big transformations can happen, like you said, an inner child can be visited, and a person can be altogether altered the session afterward. The next day they're like, oh my God, I literally met myself. It was so it was so life-changing to have done that. So the last one is resentment. So bile. So you make the sound like Darth Vader. So you've got to forgive everybody, because the fabric of the universe is love. Yeah. So if you don't forgive people, you are poisoning yourself. It's very toxic to have resentment. So you go under your spleen. Yeah. And there you go.
Wow.
Do you want to do it all in one go? Because I kept interrupting myself with
explanations. Make sure that we don't hit the microphones.
So the first one is arms above the head, and this is based on Mantak Chia, on Taoism, but I am adapting it. I am giving myself permission, because everybody's reinventing everything all the time these days, and I'm very much grateful to my teachers, but I have made up this little story because it helps me remember. So you bring your hands above your head and you go, imagining that you're throwing love, unconditional love.
I'm throwing unconditional love
over your head, and it's showering down like rainbows onto you, because you are a human person made of light, a magical being of light indeed. There's nothing wrong with you. Then your hands behind you to your kidneys. Imagine that your two cups are being filled up with water, which is old water that you don't need, gubbins, and you chuck it and you go ch with this sound, ch. Then you take your two hands, you go to the liver, which is on the right-hand side, which is why I like hugging people on the left-hand side, by the way, head to the left for a hug with a heart. Then you put your hands on your liver, and you go shh, because you're imagining you're talking to your angry child or children who's having a tantrum because they weren't allowed to have one, and you want to say shh, and you're saying, I've got you. I'm the adult now. So that this child doesn't need to kind of get triggered and then jump out of its box and bop somebody. As an adult, you can enable yourself to be more controlled when you do this exercise. It sort of sets you up first thing in the morning. And then if you do get triggered, you're less likely to shout if that's your normal thing.
I tend to be pretty calm.
Not
generally, to be
you,
honest.
but the listeners. I'm sure people accidentally shout at their children, which is really terrifying.
Right, yeah.
And anyway, whatever you do, you can forgive yourself because you know, I've had to get through stuff, and everyone gets through stuff.
Yeah, we all do, yeah.
And they become who they are. And then we learn these little techniques, and we go into the moment over and over again. So after the sh sound was the sound. And that's the balloons of grief coming down. And again, I am safe right now.
I am safe right now.
Yes. In my body. I'm safe in my body. And then your fingers by your under your rib cage. Your spleen is actually on the left-hand side, but I just nice to do it in a mirror way, like a symmetrical for the purpose of the exercise. And then you go yeah, it's like HAW, but with a in your throat.
Yeah.
How do you find that? Does it make sense to you?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. Well, I do meditate every morning.
What's your daily practice, your morning routine?
I do a whole bunch of things. So I start my morning with a glass of lemon water for like nutrition, warm up and do some exercise, have a cold shower, minimum 3 minutes. I do a lot of gratitude during the cold shower. It's my favorite activity in the morning. It's what I call my determination fuel. Wow. I love it, literally. When, you know, it's like the thing of you can do hard things. Yeah. And if you can do that, you can do anything. And this whole routine is helping me build my businesses because it's giving me so much energy and so much determination.
Yes.
So yeah, cold shower is my absolute favorite. I then have a cup of green tea, then get into my meditation practice. And then I do a little bit of journaling alongside affirmations. Mm-hmm. Because I follow a lady and she's got an app. So there's the guided meditation practice on there, the affirmation practice on there, some moon kind of diaries, oracle card reading, all of this. And then some questions in there as well. Just kind of recently, I started answering the questions. And it's really, I find it very beneficial because it's making me reflect on what's going on in my life every single day. So with some previous guests, I've talked about journaling, and people tend to recommend journaling in the evening, which I would love to do, but somehow I don't really get around to it in the evening. But recently, just kind of on the back of this, I started journaling my answers. So I write them down. So, you know, there's that sort of visual, and obviously I read them out, and then I write it. So there's muscle memory. So all of these kind of all feed into building my business and building my future and building myself. That's about it. So, that's my kind of health routine, and then I do a focus session for work, and then I have I think is a nutritious breakfast, although I have recently spoken to one of my guests who talked about pesticides on crops. Yes. So I'm going to revisit my diet and look into organic food.
Yeah, glyphosate. We are literally being filled up with all sorts of poisons.
Yeah, and then I listen to a like little 5-minute clever thing, which is my intellectual sort of fuel for the day. So that's my full routine.
What time do you get up? May I ask what time it all begins?
I aim to get out of bed by about 5:45.
Yes.
If I do, I generally do, it's just sometimes things happen and I go to bed later, so I might sleep in like 20 minutes or so. But I do generally get out of bed at 5:45, and then, as I say, about an hour and a half for my health routine, but it includes talking to my husband and getting dressed and other little bits and bobs in between. And then I do an hour and a half focus session for work as well. So I know that's quite substantial.
No, well, then you're by about 9 o'clock, you're ready. Is that what time you like to start normally?
Well, I sort of have breakfast at 9 and then ready to kind of work.
Sounds wonderful. I want to adapt your life and sit and be in your routine with you and follow you. Because wouldn't it be nice to have a partner that I keep telling my children, if only because I was so supervised as a child, it's really hard for me to make my own routines.
Okay,
like my
would
mind.
a routine like that? Now I've got a bit of I've got autistic tendencies, and just recently I was told I've got ADHD tendencies as well, but that's a different story. But with my autistic tendencies, I'm very structured.
Yes.
I'm a spreadsheet queen kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Very structured. Everything has to be exactly like that and square and in its place, so that if I go blind from 1 minute to the next, then I can reach into my wardrobe and I know exactly what I'm going to take out of there.
Amazing.
And that kind of stuff. But you come across as the total opposite.
I am the chaos queen. So I'm very, very, very in the feminine, and I'm aware of the yin and the yang.
Yeah. And
the yang is call it masculine, but it's the male counterpart. So I've studied Tantra. I'm very interested in the idea that we've both got masculine and feminine in us. So you've got more of the masculine, which
Probably.
my mother probably had a lot more. She's very determined, very driven, very goal-oriented, very time. Now we're doing this, now we're doing that, then we're doing, and it can come across as a bit like gunfire to me as a very in the yin person. So in my yin is the creativity, and I'm exceedingly creative, but because of being brought up in this gunfire, my creativity is very blocked. I don't obviously sing, but I also
I make now that you've done so much work on yourself. I make
beautiful things, but I still can't make myself get up and set time to get. I've bought clay. I just don't sit with it because I do chores instead. I keep on doing.
I think what you could do is kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
So you do things every single day anyway. You brush your teeth probably twice a day. You go to bed, whether it's 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock, it doesn't matter. You have lunch, you have breakfast, you have dinner. You do certain things to keep yourself operating every single day. So I think the way a routine, if you really want to have one, or if you want to improve on any areas of your health, then just tag something new, just one thing at a time though, and then go with that one thing for a number of weeks until it becomes just as normal. So like one of my clients, I suggested, I asked her, she said she needs to do some exercise. And I said, okay, what is it that you could do? Because she's got mobility issues. She said, well, I can walk. Okay, fine. How long can you walk for? 5 minutes. Excellent. When in the day would it be good to walk? She said, lunchtime. Excellent. So do a 5-minute walk before you eat lunch. When you break from work, go and put the kettle on. And while the kettle boils, just go and walk around the house for 5 minutes. Or depending on where you live, you walk around your block, whatever, take your pick. But tag it to lunch. And then she said, yeah, but I have lunch at different times of the day. I said, well, that's exactly the beauty of it. It doesn't matter when you have lunch. So you're not strictly tied to the 12 o'clock or 7 o'clock or 5:45 in the morning. You know what I mean? But you just sort of do your little 5-minute walk and then sit down to have lunch. It doesn't matter what time it is. So perhaps, but do you get it? Well, it's kind of the opposite way. So instead of setting yourselves doing things at times, just do things alongside something that you do already. So go on, give me examples.
As maybe it's a pleasing tendency. I think think your life's better than mine, and I should be like you. and I think my mother, I've received that message, and it's societal. It's like people seem to think that other people, one of my songs.
Yeah, the grass is greener.
Shall I sing you a little song as a break because it's relevant?
Go on.
I won't sing all of it. It's something to do with we all need attention. Well, I thought I was useless, never enough. Yes, I thought I was tiresome, just couldn't shut up. Then I started listening to the folks all around, and it didn't take too long before I found that no one's to blame. We're all the same, and in this crazy game of life, we all need attention. The grass is always greener on the other side. It's hard to pull the weeds in your own backyard. Life is sometimes breezy, but sometimes hard. It's true, it could happen to you. We all need attention.
As you say, well,
thank you.
I'm not going to clap myself. Thank you so much for that. That was indeed very, very fitting. And yes, every single one of us suffer with that we think that somebody is doing so much better, but you really have to put it into perspective. And whatever cliche it sounds, it's true. Everybody is somewhere else in their journey. I just took part in a little 3-day challenge. I tried anyway, because I was busy with my own business launch. And it really brought it home. Like, I kind of envied him a little bit that he's like, oh, he's doing this challenge and then a masterclass, and that's exactly what I did last week. And he's got over 1,000 people registered, and 600 odd turned up to the intro, Zoom call and stuff. But then he said he's been doing whatever relevant work for so many years, and it took him 6 years to get to this point. And I'm like, there's no point thinking that his grass is greener than mine. I've just launched for the first time ever, and he's 6 years into it.
Yeah.
So let's see when I am in 6 years.
Yeah.
Although hopefully I'll be there in 3 years. You know what I mean? But then I can pave my own road.
Yeah.
We just really need to, as you said earlier, ground ourselves and just bring back to sort of reality. Okay, where's the other person? Why do I think that their grass is greener? And at the end of the day, every single one of us have got to where we are. and we've achieved things, and we've learned things, and we've done things. And let's just appreciate ourselves.
Be kind to the inner child, and the inner child, who always needs our attention. We need to give ourselves that attention. Yeah. And this is the coaching work that I do. And
I was just going to loop you back to, so let's talk about what you do.
Because intimacy, into me, I see, and if you're going to have a decent relationship with another, you need to really know yourself and love all of who you are, not on a superficial level, not as an egomaniac, I'm better than you, everybody else, has to stand back because I'm the king of the castle. I feel it's much more, actually it's much kinder and more fun when it's a flatter sort of playing field without this pyramid structure with somebody has to be at the top and then all these people that he's climbing on top of, which usually getting exploited underneath. I quite like the idea of it being a circle. So the rituals I do with women and men are coming to join in now as well, where we balance out the masculine and the feminine. We're finding that druidry is very common. Druidry and Tantra have a lot in common. Okay. So the shadow, which we called, the Occident, the West, the East of the planet, was called the Occident, which also means shadow and like the dark side of the moon and all the scary stuff in the dark and the shadow. But actually it's like shame and disgust and, anger, things that we told our children they weren't supposed to exhibit, which come out in people because they are human traits. You've got a big spectrum of emotion.
You say that you're trying to balancing the feminine and masculine is one thing, but then this pyramid thing where somebody has to be at the top. But people have got very different personality traits, and some people have got that sort of leadership quality, kind of for sure. Personality, which is some great. People have got if that's a natural thing, and they're inviting people to support them, and it's sort of reciprocal, and it's but what if it's not? If they're using people without them knowing? What if they're coercing people? Okay. What if they're coercing children? There's a lot of slave trade still going on in this country, on the planet, everywhere, yeah. And there's the little people don't know what they're getting themselves into. And teenagers, girls, they say, they answer an advert saying, come and be a performer in Texas or whatever, and they get there and they find they're suddenly being on a porn film, and it's really disgusting, and I don't like that coercion. And people are, abusing children and women and, vulnerable people and boys and men as well. It's like, yes. You kind of listen to people telling you stuff as a child and you take it all in and you're trying to make sense of it. And then you walk forwards because you are born, generally, most people are born kind and nice, or that you can train them. You can train them to be either nice or nasty. Children, everybody's very malleable. The brain is incredibly flexible and elastic. I genuinely believe that nobody is born evil.
But some children who've been badly treated literally think that they are evil because they want to get this stuff out of their system. They want to be aggressive to something. And the fact is that somebody
was... the nervous system kind of developing at that stage.
The nervous system, you need...
How you as a parent react, isn't it?
It's somatic. The children need to have a space where they can... Some of them need to exhibit way more than others, and they need to whack things, whack pillows, climb up trees, go down again. We are very mobile, humans much more active, running and all that sort of thing. But does it have to be so structured all the time? I just think there's room for, it can be the balance between you and me, your routine of incredible...
so I time my routine to the time, like the clock.
Minute,
I would see that yours would time to... Well, it's not time. Actually, that would be the whole point, that yours wouldn't be timed. Yours would be tagging on to
I kind of live in the flow because I've had 2 children. And when you have children and you're trying to run a business and a household and take your children and be with your children, like let them change their mind. Can I go off to play with that person today? And you go... okay. Yeah, and I let them because I trusted. I've got incredible faith in the fabric of the universe because I have a constant communication is going on all the time with my higher self who's told me over and over again that I'm safe. So I'm a really good channel because I can bring in gorgeous messages for people because the fabric of the universe is love. So we don't need to be in this fear of the thing that's coming up behind us and it's going to get me. And it could be a scary parent or a teacher that you're remembering that you think they're chasing you. but they're not really there. There's nothing there. So
how do you help your clients? What you started saying
yes,
about the rituals
I
that you do with
create
your
a
clients.
really beautiful container. So we start by making, using our imagination, because your imagination is your most powerful tool. And sadly, in some educational establishments, they just want to get rid of your imagination and just tick all the boxes. You can't use your imagination as much as we ought to be able to do, because that's really how we create the new, is by going out of the box. If you're going around in 4 squares, you're not going to get anywhere new.
Yeah.
So you've got to have diverse people like me and David Bowie, doing random things, because then, an accident happens.
Challenge
an
the
accident,
system.
in inverted commas, happens, and then something comes out of that accident to bring the new forth. And life, like the fractals, patterns, it's always expanding.
Yes.
My great aunt was actually one of the components of inventing the chaos theory. She was Dame Mary Cartwright, Fellow of the Royal Society. So she was a mathematician at Cambridge University, and she was researching, the chaos theory, and how this is what life does. It's constantly, it's all numbers.
Expanding.
It's always expanding. So you can't get it
developing.
wrong. You as a human cannot get life wrong.
That's really good. Yeah.
You can't.
You live.
So
I always say that, the earth doesn't stop spinning, but it's kind of
you
like
can't
the
get
same
it wrong.
thing. Yeah.
I love that. And this is another one of my affirmations. I make up some song affirmations. So each session with the client is different, and I make the container. So in your imagination, we create an auric field. I've been studying I've done Reiki, as I said, and complementary therapy for 25 years. So I use the energy that I manifest. I create energy. And I know how to use it. And I've done bonkers shamanic healings for people spontaneously, not because I'm being paid, just because I feel like it, because I do exactly what I want all the time.
Because it feels right in
I
that
give
moment.
myself permission to be me all the time. And if I get on the wrong train, if I've missed my aeroplane, which still happens because I've got PTSD and my brain is still scrambled.
You ended up on the wrong state here, coming to the studio.
Yeah, I got exactly.
Really
I
amazing.
was wandering around Tesco's. I sat on a thing and asked a nice man, "How do you get to this place?" He says, "Follow Google Maps." I got to Dobby's and I was lost. And you said, "Where's
Google
that?"
Maps doesn't bring you
Anyway,
here.
I sang to that man in the car park, and he said, "Oh, great! I'm going to listen to the podcast," because I get into conversations with randoms. I've always done it on trains, on planes, on when I get lost. I think, why am I here? Why did that happen? And I wonder, and I ask the universe. Oh, and I wait and see what happened? Why did I just lose my shoe? Okay, and then somebody comes up and says, "Oh, have a pair of shoes," and you're like, "Okay." And this is my life is full of magic.
Mind you, I am a true believer that everything happens for a reason. And I had to be a very, very big life trauma to get me to that point where, some 14 years ago, I lost my job. Obviously, I took part in it, but there was I don't know, how do I say it, kind of politely. Anyway, a line manager who was not treating me very well, basically. The way I ended up losing that job was pretty awful, a very ugly picture. And a number of people played part in it, me totally, absolutely included, but it sort of sent me into a spiral where I just sort of sat on the sofa for 2 weeks crying. Then it came to the point where it's like, no, I can't carry on like this, I have to do something. But at that point, that was the end of the world. Losing, I never, ever was out of work. I find it very hard to deal with it. But then it sort of started off, that little thing where you press the button and then it starts a chain of events. So it started a chain of events that basically led to me breaking up my marriage and then living everything that I wanted to live. I went to university. I was traveling a lot more. I actually started living my life.
Yes, your life, yes.
So since that point where that other person made the decision for me effectively to leave that job and then send me down a very different path to what I ever thought I'm going to go down on, that then led me to here, where I'm living a so much more fulfilled life than I ever have lived before. And I'm being enabled to do so and live out dreams and put things out to literally. That's what I did. I put it out to the universe.
Well done.
When I turned 50, I said, I want to do something amazing in my life.
Yes.
And here I am. A year later, I launched a podcast, launched a business. Woohoo!
Amazing. Yeah. Likewise, I'm so proud of myself because I ended a 20-year relationship because I was drained. It was like we were plants in a pot that had run out of fertilizer. It was dried. The soil. We were stagnant, and it was a codependent stagnant, and it wasn't flowing anymore. And it had been brilliant and beautiful to begin with. But I want to tell you a funny story because in 2000 I went skiing. I was about to study massage. And the lady said, be careful you don't hurt your hands when you go skiing. And I came back with 2 broken wrists.
Oh my goodness.
So I had to postpone the course till September, but I got other jobs in the summertime. My mum and dad were like, when are you going to get a job? And I could just about wiggle my fingers to type my CV. Anyway, I rang somebody and she said, come and work at the Big Chill Festival. And I ended up meeting my lovely daddy of my children at the Big Chill Festival, who was a drummer. And if I hadn't broken my wrists, I probably wouldn't have made that call at that point to talk to that lady that had that job for me, and I wouldn't have my amazing children. And the relationship with my ex is really, he's a lovely man, and there's nothing wrong with him. I don't have to blame him or judge him for me changing in the relationship. And I'm so grateful that I've learned what I've learned now, having done that course.
Well, in hindsight, we can be, can't we?
Yeah, having sold the house, having invested the money in the course that I did with Layla Martin, and I'm just thrilled that I've got these skills now because I can share them with my incredible clients who I just watch them thriving and I go, I was instrumental in that. And it's literally just like shining up an old lamp with a person, and they don't believe in themselves and they're covered with their own with tarnish, that their system, their body has got a bit dull, and you just need to help them shiny up their self. And then they
can believe in yourself, absolutely.
Because my overall ambition is to help the world become a better place. When I was a little girl, I wanted to wave a magic wand and make people happy. Just wanted to do that. And I'm on the way to doing that. Somebody gifted me a magic wand at the last ritual, and I was like, oh, it's happening. So life literally can begin at 50 because you've had the beginning of your life can be as a result of your childhood, which can have been traumatic, and you're just responding. And as you get older and thinking, why am I doing this to myself? You start realizing I am the one who keeps on making these decisions. I keep on going back into those relationships over and over again. I'm like having a relationship with somebody who resembles my mother in different workplaces over and over again.
Yeah, that's so because basically you want to kind of really be a perfect version of what you didn't have, don't you think?
I suppose, I don't know whether it's conscious. I think it's unconscious. Or it's a subconscious choice.
That
in
the
fact,
devil
you're just guided there to work, and then you find yourself with this character, and it's like, she's got some of those traits. That's really weird. Why am I doing that? And it's like you almost don't. I didn't choose to do that. I just got a job as a massage therapist in a place, and that lady had traits. So my system recognized those traits as in, very organized, quite, changeable. So one minute she'd be like, hello, everybody. And then she'd be cross. And I found it like switchy as a child. It was very confusing to have that. They were all Geminis, mum and dad, and but anyway, we've all got different things. It's not to say anything bad about anybody because we've all the different.
Yeah, we all have personal
horoscopes. Look at the pluses and the negatives of whether you're looking at numerology or your horoscope or whatever it is. That's going to help you get in touch with your true self because there's all the millions of different paths in to yourself to know yourself as a divine being, as a spark of the fabric of the universe, that you'll know better or worse than that tree out there, or actually this microphone, to be perfectly honest, because that's what we think and we believe in Tantra and Druidism, is that everything is consciousness. And
everything is vibration.
I've taken very great. That's why my stage name as a singer is Violetta Vibration. Violetta Vibration, Violetta Vibration. Violetta Vibration, we're gonna have fun tonight. Because I think we need to have fun, and I think intimacy. Back to my new role as an intimacy coach, where I teach people to become intimate with themselves, to love every different part of themselves, even the stuff in the shadow, to work through the disgust they might have for some habit they think is disgusting and they don't want to let anybody see themselves, so they're hiding things from people. And then when they see other people exhibiting that behavior, they point their finger. And if you point your finger out, you've got 3 fingers pointing back at you. So you're being 3 times more judgmental of yourself every time you make a judgment of somebody else.
You know, I learned it in some customer training once. This was a long time ago, many like 15 plus years ago. Whenever we meet someone and we don't like certain things in them, we don't like it because we are confronted with our own worst traits. And when you hear that first, like, nah. And you start thinking about people that you don't like. It's like, oh, I hate that person or whatever. I don't like what they do. And then you start thinking about like, oh, actually, that is really true. So since then, let's say 15 plus years, I've been so conscious that when I don't like someone in the first instance, I stop and think like, do I do that?
Well, I'd take it one step further and say maybe you could call it worst traits, but you could also say they were things that you were judged for as a child.
Okay.
So if you meet somebody like me who talks a lot, it's possible that somebody told you off for talking too much.
Which probably happens to every child.
Every child is told they talk too much, they are too much, because the adults don't know how to hold space for that amount of energy, because it comes through, the baby comes through, and every single adult, by the time they get to adulthood, whatever the hell that is, at what age, they've been so carefully trained to conform, to be into this box, that they decide that children are annoying, they're bouncy, they're noisy, they talk too much, they should be quiet, they should behave, they should know how to behave. And it's like the child didn't know the rules until you told them. And they weren't, those rules weren't in place 5,000 years ago. You know, when I was a Celt, when I was Boudica, you know, and my children were wild and I lived in a circle and I had my wooden thatched houses. Everybody helped everybody else make the house when the rain came. We all helped each other.
The community was very different.
Community. Yeah. You know, William Morris's book about socialism, about the utopia, where somebody made a hat because they felt like making a hat, and they just gave it to whoever was passing and didn't have a hat. You know, I love exchanging things. That it's not all about, you know, the bottom line. How much have you got? How much do you need to have? And, you know, forgive me, Rob, but it really isn't all about the numbers in the bank. It's much more about your heart and your connection. You know, I love meeting people from different
even
cultures.
In business circles, there's always this, like, people say, I want a lot of money. What is a lot of money? I mean, how much money do you earn now? And then how much more would
Well, it's absolutely
get you?
endless.
Do you know what I mean?
And the
for every
elite,
single person is different.
Those elite who are running the world, who are, you know, making our minds be like hypnotized by all the stuff that little children and people are watching.
But they just have a different mindset, aren't they? So
I wonder if they're actually satisfied. I wonder if they actually know how to be completely comfortable in their own bodies. I wonder how actually embodied they are. Because if they become embodied,
it's kind of when you get to, and when you've got nothing.
You can be in the flow and you can allow stuff to happen, and you don't have to control everything and get cross when it doesn't go your way, like a little boy having a tantrum. You know, look at the politicians. They literally look like they're having tantrums all day long. They're arguing like children. It's like, what is the matter with them? They haven't grown up. They're not grown-ups. I don't believe in growing up. I think you should grow down into the ground. I think the earth needs us to regrow our own roots, to reestablish our connection to our actual human nature, to our bodies. And that's where this life force energy, the sexual life force energy, is the most powerful force you've got.
But instead, we're living in concrete houses.
It's just
uncomfortable. We're just completely disconnected.
Covered in plastic. We eat plastic. Our clothes are made of plastic. We put plastic in our faces on purpose, you know, and then we complain that there's plastic in the fish. Well, what do you think? If you use all this makeup and you use all these plastic clothes, where's it going to go? There's no sort of, let's fire it into space. Well, it still exists in consciousness.
Yeah. Oh my God, that is just absolutely frightening. The number of things that we have put in space.
There's no respect.
It is absurd. Yeah,
for your body and for your planet. It's the same thing. You know, your body, your blood is 97% water, salt. So is the sea. You know, we are the earth. We don't have to feel ourselves separate from it. And this narrative of the sort of, you know, certain religions, they're very like structured and stuff, and they're not flowy. They're not like love filled. They're very much read out of a book. I am not worthy to gather up the crumbs under thy table, O Lord. And I don't mean any disrespect to people that get a lot out of wherever their faith is, but are they actually in faith? Do they actually have faith? Are they actually trusting of it? The magic of life.
And these are some big questions.
The great mystery. Well, I've been having an existential crisis since I was 12. When I went to boarding school at 11, I was like, this isn't nice. I don't like this. This is no better than it was before. And I had to wait until I started raving, and took an ecstasy tablet.
Yeah.
And I studied psychology, and they said they used ecstasy for marriage guidance because it opens your heart. MDMA. I don't advocate everybody to go out and take it every weekend, but it opens your heart. We've been so strictly, like, we've been coerced, and the 4,000 years of conditioning has created us all, this little box that we have to like obey and live inside of. Otherwise, otherwise what? So I'm a big stirrer, and that's what happens if you work with me. You end up changing your life.
How do you work how do you stir your clients?
I ask them questions. I literally just ask questions, and they
open up.
Have to sit with it. They have to sit with whatever they have come up with. Why are you doing that? I've been asked uncomfortable questions. I've had to sit with it. And then, what do you really want is a massive question. It can take weeks for people to know what they want. So every time you have a session, you approach it again. What do you think you want today? Have you thought about it?
Because it could be anything. What do you want, like, right now? What do you want next day or next week?
Oh, now I'm thirsty. I've got physical needs. I want a glass of water. What else do you want? I want to have chicken for dinner. What else do you want? I want to have, I want my children to be happy. Well, you can't have that because that's out of your control, because that's in the future and that's about somebody else. What else do you want? I want to go on holiday to Hawaii. Fantastic. How should we organize that then? But if you're talking about a relationship, what do you want from a relationship? Well, I want a person who's going to see me in the nicest possible way. Okay, well, let's ask you some questions. Like, how do you see yourself?
Yes.
How much of yourself are you prepared to show somebody? And we do digging. And then because there are all sorts of blocks, you get blocked up, your chakras, your energy centers you've got a rainbow inside you, and it gets all blocked up in various ways. We talked about the body, your kidneys and everything. So your chakra system gets blocked. So you need to unblock chakra systems. And I can do that. I can literally open people's chakras on Zoom. It's amazing, and help them to feel
to me, that's
relieved.
still, because I truly believe in all this, the connection, the energy, the passing on energy and all of that. But I still can't quite get my head around how these things, or how can you do Reiki and, these, well, I know we call them alternative healings, but they're kind of quite natural, aren't they? How can you do these things on Zoom? That, mind you, I've never experienced it, so I can't say either way. It's just it's a little bit,
you have to
weird for me.
Your whole life is based on your belief system. The belief system that you were served and fed daily by your parents as a child. That's your foundation.
Well, yes and no, but don't forget, this sort of technology
Whether
was
it's
not
your parents,
around when we were children.
But the technology was always been there, but we didn't grow up in a culture that used it. So in the East, if you like, whatever the East is, I don't know, north, south, east and west of a round ball, I don't know, but in India and stuff, they do meditation all the time. Indian ladies, Muslim ladies, it's ladies that do it mostly, and it works for them. It's like they know how to use their machine. They also know how to use the sexual life force energy, which you bathe your brain in it. It's not about watching porn and getting off and then having a fun time. It's much more like, it's bigger than that. It's really trying to, allowing yourself to be full of your god essence, as if you like. And it's a big thing, but I think that's where we're going. I think that's where we're going in terms of humans are developing. We are the cutting edge of evolution. And this conversation is the cutting edge of evolution. And there's a billion conversations happening currently
right now,
on a million different subjects. And the collective consciousness constantly keeps shifting, like en masse, when everybody works out. We worked out something. Oh, we can make these things out of plastic. Oh, we can make these things out of sugar. Oh, we can sell this to those people if we tell them, tell them something like, oh, don't tell them everything. And then, and that's a clever trick, because humans are very clever. They're amazingly resourceful. They're not going to be good all the time. They'll work out a way to get underneath and beside, and like water through the cracks. They'll work out a way. And that's brilliant. Why not celebrate everything?
Yeah.
Keep learning, keep growing, keep expanding, and revisit old knowledge. Like, I went to Egypt on a retreat, and it was...
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Egypt was unbelievable, but I was in Egypt, and the energy of that place was unbelievable. I went to the Sinai desert. I saw a dragonfly in the Sinai, which shows me that I'm magical. Because a
What was
desert,
it, a dragonfly in a desert?
an actual dragonfly in the desert. What does it
I
do?
would think that doesn't exist.
Exactly. And then there was a flock of dragonflies. What do you call a herd of dragonflies?
I have no idea.
I saw a flock of swans as I come over the bridge today when I arrived in Peterborough from London. We were sitting having the last kind of meditation of our 10-day retreat with my teacher, Quirkiness and Hara again, from the Starlight Temple. And a herd of dragonflies came pouring out. We were in Dahab in Egypt. Then we were by the sea. We were by a big mountain of stone, leopardine jasper as it happened. And she'd given me a little pot of leopardine jasper. And the whole mountain was made of leopardine jasper. And so was the mountain we went to visit where the burning bush is. The burning bush being out of the Bible. There's a monastery there, St. Catherine or somebody whose body was chopped into little pieces and flew back by itself. Anyway, there's all sorts of stories. There's lots of dimensions we could discuss. But anyway, this herd of dragonflies came by and I'm like, am I actually seeing this? And I'm going, Emma's like,
did
shush,
everybody
Emma.
see it?
Emma, quiet. We're doing a meditation. I'm like, but there's a herd of dragonflies. More, big ones coming around, like surrounding us. It was absolutely absurd and obscure and bizarre and just shows me that I'm safe wherever I am. If I got through that as a child, I managed to get through it. I'm still alive. I can talk to myself as kindly as I feel like, as often as I want. And I'm having a wonderful time right now.
That's been a world of conversation. We've managed to talk a little business. We managed to talk a little bit of routine. We never managed to give you a routine.
I don't think I want one. I think the perfectly honest answer is I really love how my life keeps on giving me what I think about. I just have to use my imagination. Another one, my fantastic teacher is Esther Hicks. And, she says, get yourself on a high flying disc. And it took me so long to drag myself out of the pits of a bit. I was so depressed for so many years, so down on myself. I kind of hid it under a sheen of, I'm fine with my gritted teeth. But I got tumours in my leg. I had chest infections and I was not at all fine under the surface. I was really not fine whatsoever, but I didn't know how to help myself. So I had to go on this journey of self-discovery and work it all out by myself and put all these things together by myself so that I can then now at this age and stage, I've created something and I'm just it's working. I did a gig last night. I made up songs. I can just do whatever I want. I tell myself now, I can jam it in front of a microphone and everyone stops talking in a crowded pub to listen to me.
That's fabulous.
Jamming.
I love the way you described yourself to me at the very beginning when we started conversing. I don't know if you recall, you said, some say that you've got ADHD, but you just call yourself or you are an authentic. Do you remember?
No.
Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, so that you are an authentic person who just wants to bring good to the world. It was something along those lines. Okay. But I love your authenticity because that is true and it's shining. Yeah. Without shadow of a doubt.
And I just, anybody can, if they're prepared to deal with other people's reactions to how they present themselves, that's what you have to do. So if I'm authentic now, I can say anything to anybody. I have to be able to deal with their response.
Or not, really.
But if I want to hide under the veiled sort of like, make myself look like whoever, not me. What do I want to wear? I want to have hairy armpits? I want to have different earrings. I always keep losing one earring anyway, so whatever. I just allow it. I haven't I'm borrowing your top. It doesn't really matter. I'm not going, oh, panic. I got half of my hair here and half of it not because I want to look half like my daddy and half like my mummy, and that's my imagination. I do whatever I want, and therefore I have to deal with other people's reaction to me. So people might look at me and kind of be suspicious and say, oh, why has she got her hair like that? And why has she got this and that? I'm so used to people questioning me. Yeah. When I got my nose pierced when I was 19 and people would go, so how is it to blow your nose with that? And it's like, that's just that's rude. But like, well, it's just like, I mean, I wish I could think of something clever to say, but I was only 19. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think we bring ourselves up. We have to bring ourselves up through thick and thin, through the kind of like people's ignorance of who we actually are. And we find ourselves through those narrow passages, and you call them dark nights of the soul. And I must say that when I woke up to my own realizing that I was allowed to do me, it was quite terrifying. So it can be a big, awakening to your own.
But then you're working through it. So I think that is the...
I wake up with panic attacks still. You know, my nervous system still has a lot of panic in it. And I sometimes wake up and I have to sit up and like hold myself and just go, you're safe. You're safe. You know? So I just let myself be Emma and whatever I feel like doing. And I know if I think I'm going to run out, I'm not going to run out. Because the universe is abundant and I am loved. If I tell myself I am. If I tell myself that I'm in danger, then I'm probably going to make that happen because my mind is creating, you know, the experience of the reality that I find myself inside of. You know, your perception of the reality is making it yours.
The profound message from this conversation has been, be yourself.
Yeah.
Just be yourself and let yourself be yourself. And
Yes.
don't let the world and other people certainly tell you what you should be.
And really trust life. Trust your intuition. Because your heart is constantly trying to get your attention. And if you're in your head all the time, following the rules, you can't hear it.
Emma, I'm pretty certain that
Thank
we could
you.
carry on for many, many, many hours.
Thank you very, very
Sitting
much
here
for
talking
having me.
about the universe and
Yes.
everything. It's been quite a journey with you. Thank you for breaking into songs.
Yay.
Thank you for bringing your beautiful energy, and enjoy the rest of your day.
And you're going to find my TikTok. Follow me, Violetta Vibration on TikTok. We'll put all that in the show notes. Yes.
Yes, we will.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to New Business in Later Life with me, Ildikó Sealey, where we say no to slowing down and yes to starting up. Loved what you've heard? Please share it, screenshot it, and tag me on socials. Let's show the world what thriving in later life really looks like, and share with a friend who is ready for their next chapter. Please subscribe so you are always in the loop. And if you were ready to stop running on empty and start running on purpose, well, come join us. All the links are waiting in the show notes, including my guests' contacts, the Entrepreneurs Club, and the few tools and services I personally use in my business to help you thrive in yours. Until next time, refuel, refocus, reinvent.